Hey there, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Florida Two-Wheel Adventures. I wanted to take a few minutes and just talk to you about some of the things that I dislike about my 2021 Kawasaki KLX300 Dual Sport Edition. That is a mouthful. That's not one of the things I dislike. The word dislike is often, I think, overused. There are things that I feel that Kawasaki could have done better with this motorcycle, and most of those things I was able to fix myself. So let's just jump right into it. I'm going to give you some thoughts on the things that I dislike about the bike. You might not have a problem with them. Most people might not have a problem with them. They were just little nitpicks that I don't like. One's not really a nitpick. One is really a big gripe that I've got. And we'll save that one for last. The first thing that I'm going to go with that I dislike about the bike, but I fixed it, were the foot pegs. The foot pegs on this bike and most of the dirt bikes that I've ever ridden, dual sport kind of dirt bikes, they are usually very short, like stick out from the bike. They're very short and they're very narrow. So you've got just a little bit of room to plant your foot. And when you're out on the trail and you're riding in sand and you're shifting your weight and you're trying to maneuver and position the bike on the right line, even just riding down a trail while standing up, if you don't have good, nice, wide, flat foot pegs that have some bite into them, then you're going to have difficulty controlling and operating your motorcycle the way that you should. So that's the first gripe that I've got. The foot pegs, they suck. Kawasaki and every other manufacturer, you might as well just send me the bike with no foot pegs and knock $100 off the price. I mean, honestly, because the first thing I want to do is change them. So save me the money or give me a rebate. Give me a gift card. Throw in a gift card. That's it. Put your stupid, crappy foot pegs on there and throw in a gift card. All right. So the next thing that I dislike is the handlebar. The reason is not as simple as saying I don't like the way it looks or I don't like the rise or the bend. Those are all true for me. I dislike those things. What I dislike about it is that it's a steel handlebar that is plugged in the ends. So what does that mean? That means that they took a steel tube. Everything is routed on the outside of it, no internal wiring or anything like that. And then they fill the ends with some kind of steel concoction. I don't know what it is. But it's at least 2-3 inches into the bar, which makes it near impossible to drill into it when you want to put on handguards. Handguards, if you've never installed any, typically when they mount on the ends of your bars, there's you have to take the empty cavity of the bar, you put a sleeve down in there, and then you put a bolt in there, and when you tighten the bolt in, it expands the sleeve and presses against the hollow bar, and you can't pull out your handguards. Well, in Kawasaki's infinite wisdom, they decided to plug the ends. I'm not sure why. I'm guessing to cut down on vibration. That would be the obvious answer. Maybe add a little bit of rigidity back there. Whatever they did, it's very difficult to drill into. When I had the stock ones on this bike and I tried to put on new handguards, I couldn't. I burned up like 2 or 3 drill bits trying to get through that garbage. So for a little while, I just left the handguards. I didn't even have them on the bike. But then I ordered a new handlebar. I got a Pro Taper Evo handlebar. Pro tip, don't get the Carmichael bend if you do not want to keep the same factory bend, because it's the factory bend. It's almost a virtual identical copy of the Kawasaki bar. So I wish I had known that. I wish I had done a little bit more research. I didn't. I bought what I thought was probably good. Ricky Carmichael was a good racer in his day. I figured, his handlebar named after him is probably good. It's fine if you like the Kawasaki bend. But they're made out of some kind of aluminum alloy, and they are less prone to bending. And when you bend a steel handlebar, it's pretty much shot. You can maybe salvage it, get it tweaked back, and ride for a little bit. But the next time you crash, it's probably going to bend in the same place, and it's going to become real weak, and it's going to become a vulnerability for you. So my recommendation, if you ride off road and you're prone to crashing your bike, which if you're riding off road with any kind of spirit, you're going to dump your bike. So I would recommend that you swap those bars out, either go with the Pro Taper Evos or there's a bunch of other ones. Get something that is maybe a fat bar. That means in the middle, it's fatter than the 7/8 factory bar. So that adds a little bit more stability. There's actually more flexibility in the aluminum bars than there are the steel bars that come from the factory. All around, it's a much better option. So that would be my second gripe. These are in no particular order. The handlebars. They suck. They got to go. The third thing that I'm going to say has got to go, and it's not really something that you have to do. But if you ride off road and you don't particularly care for the way the bike handles in first, second, and third gear, meaning there's something that's a little off with the power. You're feeling like maybe you should be able to be in second gear or third gear and you can't. You've got to stay in first or you've got to stay in second because the bike just kind of gets lost. That's your gearing. That was a very piss poor way of explaining it, but that's the way that I think about it in my head. When I first took this bike out, it was much better than the Honda CRF 250L that I replaced with this bike. Much better. Even though this from the factory has 14-tooth front and a 40-tooth rear, the power of the 300 was way better than the CRF 250. I now realize after spending more time with this bike. But I still could tell that it wasn't quite what I wanted. So I went and I put on there a 13-tooth front and a 42-tooth rear. That works with the factory chain. The factory chain, I believe, is 106 links. Don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty sure it's 106 links. You can get away with going down to a 13-tooth in the front and up to a 42-tooth in the rear and keep the factory chain. Now, if you've been riding for a while and you're going to change your chain, then you're going to need a longer one if you do what I am about to do, which is go back to a 14-tooth in the front, but increase the rear even more. So the rear is currently sitting at a 42-tooth. From the factory, it was a 40. So I went from a 40 to a 42, and I think what I've got now is a 46 or a 47. I'm pretty sure it's a 46. So the math ratio for the 1342 and the 1446, they're roughly the same. I'll put the numbers up here on the screen when I edit this video. But yeah, it's going to be very close to the same. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm kind of in the back of my mind worried that I'm going to fail to notice when my chain slider starts to wear through. That's that hard piece of black plastic that goes over the swing arm that your chain slides on when it comes from the rear sprocket to the front sprocket and goes around the front sprocket and back to the rear. There's a piece of plastic on your swing arm that protects it. And when you go down to a 13-tooth, a 13-tooth is physically smaller than a 14-tooth. So when you go down to a 13-tooth, you make that chain come down a little bit more aggressively towards your swing arm. And while it's okay right now, if I fail to keep an eye on that, which I more than likely will fail to do, you'll wear through that piece of black plastic and you'll potentially eat into your swing arm. Now, the black plastic piece, that chain guard on your swing arm, is a renewable part. It's a disposable part. What's the word I'm looking for? They know that it's going to need to be replaced over the course of its lifetime. It's made to. It's a wear item. So you can replace it, and if you replace it before it eats through it, then you're going to be fine with a 13 tooth. I just know that my personal habits, I'm going to forget to do it, and I don't want to. So I'm going to change. Chain and sprockets, number 3. Let's go to number 4, which is the dashboard. The 4th thing I dislike about this bike is the dashboard. The LED display, I think it's an LED display. The display on the dashboard, while it's fine, it has tachometer, speedometer, and a clock and an odometer with 2 trip odometers in it. I don't need the clock. I don't need a trip odometer that literally takes up about this much space on my dashboard. Cut that in half, take it down to 5 digits long, no longer, and give me a gas gauge. I have no fuel gauge on this bike. The dashboard sucks because of that. That's the only thing that I really would like. I mean, let me take that back. I would like to have a gear shift indicator, but come on, I'm not going to go crazy. It was a $7,000 motorcycle. Whatever. But give me a fuel gauge. If you're going to stick me with my 5th point, a 2-gallon fuel tank, then give me a fuel gauge. Let me know when I'm down, when I need to start looking for fuel, because I'll be honest with you, if you've not purchased one of these bikes yet, and if you've not heard from anybody, the fuel tank is only about 2 gallons, roughly. And, if you ride it conservatively, if you ride a lot on the street, and you've got those factory tires that came with the bike on it, or even street tires, you're going to get decent gas mileage. I don't know. I hear people get like 50 miles to a gallon, which means you'll get roughly 100 miles to the tank. That's not too bad. But I don't get anywhere near that. I'm getting maybe, if I had to guess, I'd say I'm maybe getting 40 or 50 miles to the tank. So that's not good, right? That's not very far. Mostly that's because I wind the bike out. I'm into trails. Gassing it. The RPMs are up and down. I'm riding 60, 70 miles an hour to get up to the woods. So I got a fuel tuner on there, so I'm dumping more fuel into the engine. There's all kinds of reasons why I'm only getting that many miles per gallon. But having said that, I know that when I fill this gas tank up, that I'm going to be able to go out to the woods with it maybe a couple of times, and I'm going to need to get gas again. It'd be nice to know that for sure so I could put gas in it before I go. Because once I open the gas cap, I can look down in there, and if I see fuel, then I know I'm good. But it don't take long before you can't see fuel anymore. So, if I go out and ride one day and I put 30 miles on it, I'm not going to see the fuel in there anymore. Now, yeah, I could just gas it up, which is what I usually do. It would just be nice. Yes, it's a minor gripe. I'd like a fuel gauge on there, but more importantly, number 5, I'd like a bigger fuel tank. Give me a 3.5 gallon, 4-gallon gas tank on there. This business with the 2-gallon gas tanks, come on. Kawasaki, come on. Really? 2 gallons? Give me 4. Give me at least 3.5. Now, I hear the people out there saying, well, you just go buy an aftermarket gas tank. A Cherubies, IMS, whoever, whatever. No. The only one that I currently can find is IMS. The IMS tank, I looked the other day when I was thinking about making this video, is $400. And how much extra fuel do you get for $400? Less than 1 gallon. Yeah, you heard me right. This is a 2-gallon tank. The IMS tank, I think, is 2.9 gallons. $400 for 0.9. And I might be wrong on that. It might be 0.7. I'll have to look. I'll put it up here. It's ridiculous. $400 for less than 1 gallon extra of fuel. So yeah, that's wonderful. No, thank you. I'll pass. Give me a 3.5 gallon, give me a 4-gallon gas tank, or I'm going to go the Rotopack route. Or I'll just keep doing what I'm doing is every single time I get ready to leave the garage with the bike, I fill it up with fuel. That just aggravates me. So that's it. I'm going to get out of my gear here in a minute. I just wanted to throw together a quick video. It's a great bike. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about the bike at all. I love it. I would buy another one if I had an extra $7,000 lying around, or if I could even find one of these, but I don't and I can't, so I'm not. Hey, listen, that's about it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate everybody. If you would, like, subscribe, comment down below. If there's something that you dislike about the bike that I didn't mention, let me know what it is. If you got any questions about something about the bike, maybe you're looking at buying one. Maybe you been trying to decide between this bike and the Honda, or whatever else might be out there. The Yamaha, they're not making the 250 anymore. So whatever you're looking at, whatever you're thinking about getting, let me know down below. Drop me a question, drop me a comment, and I'll respond back to you. A lot of times I work nights. I'll be sitting there looking at my comments, and I'll be responding to people at like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So anyway, I try to respond to everybody in the comments. I appreciate everyone that subscribed. And thank you very much. I hope this was helpful. I hope you liked it. And I'll see you back here next time. I'm out.